Alright, this is Nick from Med School Master, and today I want to cover the topic of what to do if the MCAT didn't go so well. This is obviously a very common issue. It's a tough test, very competitive, and oftentimes people go through the test and they didn't get the score that they're shooting for. So it's a common thing, but I think the most important thing is to not get too down from your results, but rather to just keep moving forward, keep pressing, and keep building your application. So the most important thing to remember is that the MCAT is not your entire application. In fact, it's just a small part of your application. Normally, it does help to do a bit better because it will help you to sort of get past any initial screens or anything like that. But there's some things that I'll discuss now that will help you to do well even if you didn't get that score that you wanted. So in particular, I think that you want to look at what other weaknesses there might be on your application. So if you're somebody that is really, dedicated to the sciences, you're in biology or chemistry, and you didn't get the score you wanted on the MCAT, well, you might have weaknesses in other areas of your application. You might have already demonstrated good scientific background with your coursework, getting good grades, and with the research you're hopefully doing in biology or chemistry, and then of course, even though the MCAT didn't go so well, your weakness on your application might be demonstrating some of the people skills, demonstrating sort of a tendency to get involved in volunteering and helping out in your community, which is also a very important part of being a doctor. So if I were you, I would focus on those parts of your application that may also be considered weak in addition to your MCAT score and try to bring those up. You don't want them to have any other reason to reject you aside from just your MCAT score. You want to make sure everything else is good. So on the flip side, if you're somebody that's very involved in volunteering, that will easily get good letters of recommendation from people saying that this is the most wonderful person in the world, they're going to be a great doctor, but you found that you didn't do so well on the MCAT, then you might want to show them that you do have that academic side and that you don't have weaknesses there. You're doing well in your coursework and you are doing very active research. So I would suggest that you sort of look at whatever those weaknesses are and attack those. In particular, for people that feel like they need to show some of that academic success, maybe they didn't do so well on the MCAT and the GPA is not quite where you'd want it to be. It's like, under 3.7 or under 3.5. In that case, you may want to consider doing a gap year or a couple to get another degree or to do some research and show a real commitment to academic success. So if you're going to consider another degree, there are some masters of the sciences that focus on, that have a scientific curriculum, and it will sort of give you a fresh start to do very well in these master science classes, where you can hopefully say, yes, I may have only had a 3.2 in my undergraduate degree, but look, I did a master in science and got a 4.0 in that. So being able to show them sort of progression of more academic success and more ability to do well in the classes will reassure them that you do have the raw skills necessary to be a good doctor. In addition, the research here, a couple years in research, are a great option if you feel like you're sort of lacking academically, because if you can show that you've presented at X conference, you had a poster at this one, and maybe you have a publication or two, those would be things that will really show that, despite your maybe poor grades or poor MCAT score, you're somebody that's very academically involved in the creation of new knowledge, and that's something that they'll want to talk about during your interview day. So on the flip side, if you are, been doing academically very well, you have good GPA and good research, but you just didn't get that good MCAT score, and you want to consider something to do during your gap year, well, I would suggest that you consider doing some sort of very community focused, volunteering focused, public health focused kind of degree. So you could do an advanced degree in, like an MPH, or you could do a year of volunteer work at a clinic or with an orphanage or something that shows that there's a community that you're really connected to and really uh, committed to, because those are equally as important parts of your application. So I hope this is helpful. For a lot of people, they get back their score on the MCAT and they're a little bummed, but I would tell you that this is it's something you can make up for by making sure there's no other weak areas of your application, and then of course you can put in extra efforts to get your name on their table, whether that be writing letters, having connections to certain programs. So maybe one of your mentors or you personally work in the same hospital or with a researcher that's faculty on a medical school. By having sort of inside connections like that, it'll help to get your name on the table, and you can show them that despite the poor MCAT score, you covered the rest of your bases elsewhere, and that should help you to make it past that poor MCAT score. So I hope this was helpful. You can learn all these tips and so much more with our Pre-Med comprehensive online course, the Pre-Med BootCamp, and then, of course, with our book that gives you all the strategy for success, which is the Pre-Med Playbook. You can find them at medschoolmastery.com. Thanks.